The New York Mets got Juan Soto. I'm not making it up. It is official. The New York Mets have signed mega superstar Juan Soto to a 15-year, $765 million deal as of last night. They reportedly agreed on terms. Soto, coming over from the Yankees, now will be a Met for at least 5 years. The Mets gave him an opt-out option after 2029 if he decides to stay, or the Mets take out the opt-out option. His AAV goes from 51 million to 55 million, largest contract in professional sports. And as a Mets fan, boy, I am happy. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about this move, what it means for baseball and all this stuff, but I got to put on a little more professional stuff sometimes. Yeah, Juan Soto's a Met. And as someone that has covered baseball and someone that has watched baseball for so long, he is generational. I mean, let me just throw a few stats out there. From the 2024 season alone, third in OPS, 988. Second in on-base percentage at 419. 41 home runs, fourth. Second in runs. Advanced stats, he's second in walk percentage, first in walks per at bat. More walks and strikeouts last season. Absolutely ridiculous. MLB.com helping me too right now. Highest on-base percentage in a single season last season since 2015 at 444. Highest slugging percentage in the season since 2015. Highest expected OBP in 2024. In the Statcast era, he has the highest expected on-base percentage at 417, better than Trout or Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Big Poppy. Oh my God, like he is generational. And I could throw any stat out there. Um, Juan Soto is one of the best players in baseball. From his strike zone to his clutchness, the amount of plays he's made in the playoffs, that home run in Game 5 in Cleveland to send the Yankees to the World Series in the 10th inning, hitting a home run in Game 6 of the World Series to give the Nationals the lead in 2019 over the Astros. Nationals went on to win that series. Juan Soto has it all on that side of the plate, and he is one of the best players of our generation, and nobody is going to deny that. And now he's a New York Met. So, I'm not an MLB reporter. I'm just someone that creates content and wants to get into reporting and all that stuff. But apparently, the Mets were dead in the water yesterday until Steve Cohen upped his offer. It's now 15 years, 765 million, and you can't even be mad at the Yankees because the Yankees contract was apparently 16 years, 760 million. So the AAV is a little lower and stuff. And according to Jeff Passan, who said this on SportsCenter last night, Juan Soto believes in the Mets' future more than the New York Yankees. This is an unprecedented move in New York baseball. Unprecedented. Taking off this whole college student thing. I grew up in New York. I grew up a Mets fan. I would walk into school and get bullied by Yankees fans. And I'm not the only one. The amount of times that the Yankees have big brothered the New York Mets in the 22 years of my life and even before that, it goes without saying that the Yankees, the most valuable franchise in sports, own the New York market. And then there's the Mets. There's little brother. Haven't won a World Series since 86. Before that, haven't won since 69. Two World Series. The Yankees have 27. The one thing the Mets fans could have said was that the Yankees didn't make the World Series more recently than the Mets did, and now they did. Um, Now you get Juan Soto. And you don't only get Juan Soto, who's one of the best players of this generation, already a World Series ring, two World Series appearances, the stats that I just threw out, no denying how good he is. You steal him from your big brother. And so that means the Mets might not be little brother anymore. And that's exactly what Steve Cohen wanted when the New York Mets not signed Juan Soto, but obviously when he signed Juan Soto, when the New York Mets were bought by Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is the George Steinbrenner of this era. Is he as micromanaged as Steinbrenner? No. Steinbrenner, what he did for the Yankees was unprecedented. But Steve Cohen's sending a message. The owner's scared of him, making him pay a luxury tax. He doesn't care. No deferred money in this contract, 51 million a year, and you get one of the best players in baseball, and you pair him with Francisco Lindor, with Mark Vientos, with Brandon Nimmo, with a pitching staff that will only get better because the Mets aren't done making moves, and you have a legitimate World Series contender. And just talking about what this means for the Mets, that's where you got to start. Legitimate World Series favorite. As of right now, DraftKings has them third behind the Dodgers and Braves to win the World Series at plus 800. And I think that's fair. The Braves weren't healthy last year, obviously, lost in the wild card to the Padres. The Mets, on the other hand, lost to the Dodgers in six, coming off a magical season. You could check out my memo on that. Eventually, the 2024 Mets were special. Now the 2025 Mets, the 2026 Mets, 27, as long as Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor are here, they are a legitimate World Series contender. They are one of the few teams in baseball that can say they have two top five, top 10 players. Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto were both top 10 in the MLB and wins above replacement last year. Lindor was first in the NL, even in front of Shohei Ohtani. Soto was like six or seven in the AL. And he had Aaron Judge too. And they're now both of them are together. And the Mets are a very good baseball team. They took the Dodgers to six in a season where nobody thought they were going to be good, from 0-5 to OMG, all that fairy tale stuff. Now that's out the window. And Steve Cohen made that possible by signing Juan Soto, the biggest free agent, not only in this market, but one of the biggest free agent signings ever. Literally the biggest free agent signing ever, excuse me. Is he worth more than Shohei Ohtani? No. But what Steve Cohen did by signing Juan Soto is saying the Mets are not going away. 2024 was not a fluke. They are going to contend over and over again. And when these big fish free agents come, Steve Cohen will not be outbid. And you saw that yesterday. Steve Cohen will not be outbid. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do with the Mets. And this, for Mets fans, has been a long time coming. With the Wilpons, they were cheap, they were hesitant. You lose out to the Yankees, you lose out to other teams. The Mets aren't losing out anymore. And even before this Juan Soto move, you saw this under the Steve Cohen regime. They were going after big fish players. They offered the most for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He went to the Dodgers. They offered Shohei Ohtani. He went to the Dodgers. They offered Aaron Judge, but Judge went back to the Yankees. They've offered these big time free agents, and it hasn't worked. Steve Cohen was not going to get outbid this time, and more, he was not going to be told no this time. Him and David Stearns were not being told no. And apparently they fed Soto. They visited him in Florida. Very good for families. And clearly, Juan Soto, 26 years old, one of the best players of this generation, in his prime, bought into what the New York Mets were doing. Or else he would have went back to the Yankees, who offered $5 million less. Because at that point, it's money. And look, Juan Soto's agent, Scott Boras, wanted to break the years record, wanted to break the AAV record, all that stuff. But Juan Soto clearly wanted to go to the Mets. Um, my friend put it really well yesterday. If he's taking that money, he clearly didn't want to be with the Yankees. You can't be mad if you're the New York Yankees because the Yankees offered him $760 million. At the end of the day, he just chose the Mets. Yankees fans can't say that Hal Steinbrenner was cheap. They can't say that they didn't make moves and now the Yankees have a plan B. The Mets, on the other hand, they got Juan Soto and they still have a lot of other moves to make, right? You could go for Pete Alonso still, but I think Alonso's gone. You still got to booster that rotation, whether it is Corbin Burns, Walker Buehler, Max Fried, Roki Sasaki, but Sasaki's probably going to the Dodgers. They signed Frankie Montas. They signed Clay Holmes. Both will be starters, but the Mets rotation still is a little weak. So you got to get there. You still need a first baseman now. Is it going to be Alonso? Is it going to be Cody Bellinger? Maybe they go for Christian Walker. There's a lot of moves they can make. But Juan Soto has clearly bought into what the New York Mets are doing. And that's why he chose to sign the biggest contract in professional sports history there. And this is what the New York Mets are now. They are, look, history is not on their side, especially when you compare it to the Yankees or the entire MLB. They have been a joke for years and years and years. Same old Mets, find ways to blow it. All this stuff. Crying Mr. Met, blown seasons, everything. But they just got the biggest free agent in the market and one of the best players in baseball. And they're not going to go away. They're going to keep doing this. They're going to be in the pool for every free agent. They're going to go for every guy because that's what Steve Cohen is and that's what the New York Mets culture is. And this couldn't have happened without 2024 either. And so, look, Juan Soto's a New York Met. Talking about what Soto will bring to this Mets team now, I mean, where do you start? Look, he was a Gold Glove finalist last year. I know a lot of people say that his fielding is the best, and I don't think he's a great fielder, but the Mets have three fine fielders in Starling Marte, Tyrone Taylor, Brandon Nimmo. Soto will start at right field, though. The Mets still need a designated hitter. What Soto brings? 40 home runs, one of the best off on base percentages in baseball, one of the best slugging percentages in baseball. Is batting, I'm pretty sure his split at Citi Field is like 333, 476, over 800 OPS, which is absolutely ridiculous. 12 home runs at Citi Field. He's not a guy that fed off this Yankee Stadium's short porch. He had more home runs on the road than he did at home last year. I'm pretty sure it was 21-20, so really close. And he's a guy who's been in the big moments. And that's huge for the New York Mets, who last year, I wouldn't call it a fluke, but they clearly went more than expectations thought they were going to go. Nobody thought the New York Mets were going to make the playoffs. I didn't. No baseball journalist did. A lot of people didn't, but they did. And they went to game six of the World Series and lost the most expensive team all time and the World Series champions. Now you bring in Juan Soto. You have the experience now in the playoffs with Francisco Lindor, had a great postseason. Mark Vientos, what, 4 home runs, batting 400 in his first postseason, and he's only 25. Nimmo was fine. You're going to lose Alonso, but a lot of these young guys are going to get experience, and the New York Mets are a real, real baseball team. And even without Juan Soto, they would have been that because they would have pivoted, they would have made moves. But they made a statement to the entire MLB that they are one of the big dogs in the league now by bringing in Juan Soto. Because Juan Soto, I've said it multiple times on this podcast, once in a generation type of player in terms of everything. And the fact that he's a New York Met, before I wrap this up, I'll make this a little personal. Yeah, Mets have been little brother forever. Now they just took the Yankees' second best player because Aaron Judge is still the Yankees' best player, but they took Juan Soto and they took him for the biggest contract in professional sports history. And that's something that the Yankees usually do. But now the Mets have done it. And Juan Soto's coming to Queens, baby. And I knew, or not I knew, let me rephrase. We knew this was a possibility since Soto went to the Padres. People have been manifesting this forever, but it finally happened. And people saw it happening, and then it became the Yankees, and then it became the Mets. And here we are today. And the New York Mets are a legitimate World Series favorite. And moreover, they're bringing in Juan Soto, one of the best players in baseball, and he's going to be for a very long time. He's 26 in his prime, coming off 40 home runs. His 2024 season was among one of the best in the Statcast era. So was Aaron Judge's. So the Yankees were really good. Juan Soto's coming to New York and he's coming to Queens. That is an unprecedented move. The biggest move that the Mets have ever made, and one of the biggest moves a team has ever made. But for a team that has constantly been second in a city that lives and dies on sports, to steal, and I mean steal, one of the reasons the Yankees were so good and one of the best players in baseball out of the Yankees' grasp, that is unheard of. And that is going to change the way the New York Mets are viewed forever. Yeah, and just to put it in words and stuff, if you're a Mets fan, you can't ask for anything more. And so I needed to get this out, and I was going to get it out last night, but some stuff came up. But Juan Soto is a New York Met. I will have more content on this coming up. The Mets are going to make more moves. The Yankees are going to make more moves. Excited to see how the rest of free agency plays out with winter meetings going on right now. But the first and biggest domino has fell, and it's Juan Soto coming to Queens.